Hey guys, Kamina the coach here. So welcome back if you follow my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kamina the coach. I have been working and living abroad for, I don't know, 15 years, close to. So you'll find some of my videos on this channel about working and living abroad, living a better, happier, more fulfilled life. I'm also an a late discovery transracial adoptee. So I didn't find out I was adopted until I was 32. And I was adopted by a white family. So you'll find, some videos on my channel about working through that, my reunion journey, and the like. So, I haven't been doing videos regularly lately because I think that when I was doing videos regularly, in general, it's very therapeutic for me to do these videos, and I don't really need it. Um, I don't really need it these days, though things are quite chaotic in Mexico as a result of the Trump presidency as well. It's very chaotic here, and I fear I'm not far enough away from the nonsense. This is the first time I felt peace in my time of working and living abroad in a long time. So 3 years I'll have permanent residency, and 8 years then a passport. Anyways, so this video is not about any of that stuff. In between semesters, I sometimes have a little bit too much time. I hadn't been assigned a class. So sometimes I get sucked down the rabbit hole. Colleen Hoover is actually an author that I like. I did not, and I kept seeing the movie It Ends With Us pop up on, I don't know, Netflix or Prime, I'm not sure which one. And I kept skipping over it, but I didn't realize it was a movie based on one of Colleen Hoover's books. And somehow, body, body body language expert, who I like to watch, was doing an analysis on her speaking and on Blake Lively and whatever the man's name is, Justin Baldoni, I guess. So they got the people from the movie. So I don't really care. I didn't see the movie, one, and I don't really care about stars. But this got me curious because then all of my therapists start popping up on YouTube. I'm like, so this is a book about domestic abuse. Is it though, really? So I still haven't seen the movie. I don't have Netflix or Prime anymore, and I refuse to pay for them. So I haven't seen the movie, but I did run through the book yesterday, day before yesterday. And honestly, I found it a bit cozy for an abuse book, and maybe the way that we want to see it, like, oh, a woman is abused and she's fed up, she's had enough, and she leaves. So I just want to do this video. I think for those there, it's hard for me to read comments in general, but especially hard for me to read comments on things about this. And I think it's easy when you haven't gone through something to say, she should just leave. That is just crazy. Why would she not leave? If you haven't gone through it, you don't know. And so I'm just gonna speak about my story. If you haven't read the book or seen the movie, honestly, I don't think you're missing anything. I was not impressed with the book. I am on the second book just because I'm that kind of person, but I wasn't impressed with the book. And from the comments that I've seen, the movie's not that impressive. The movie really, really downplays the violence and kind of makes it feel very rom-com-ish. So I suppose that could be done with my relationship initially. We had a very cute meet cute. So I was married to a man who I met on a telephone chat line, and I fell in love with him almost immediately. He's like literally tall, dark, and handsome. Tall, very dark skin, intelligent, um, compassionate, thoughtful, smart, very wicked smart, sexy. I love that. So, um, we had a very turbulent dating process. His mother called me. It was just crazy. Once we finally decided to solidify it, he went to prison for 2 years. I didn't even know he was on parole. I was living with his mother, and his mother was all over the place. And I mentioned that to one of her family members, which was a mistake. They repeated that to her. So then she started talking badly about me to him. He had already asked me to marry him at that point, and at some point, I just stopped talking to him towards the end of his incarceration, and was with somebody else who was abusive. Crazy. And towards the end of his incarceration, I'm not sure what happened. I ended up moving out from my other abusive boyfriend and got my own place. And then the guy got out of prison, and it was awkward because his mother didn't want him around me, and or his niece or nephew, and family was very big for him. I had a house, I bought him a car, I bought him a wardrobe. So eventually he moved in with me. I don't think it was a month after we had married. And I insisted if we were going to live together, we were going to be married. He was very aggravated about that, and he always contended that I forced him to get married. And so one day, while he's fighting with his mother about me, and she had called me the B word one too many times, and he flipped on her and cussed her out. So he's very upset with himself that he's cussed his mother out. So he comes home very angry. And we had a continuation of a fight that had been going on. And it just escalated almost a moment. He walked in the door, and that was the first time he put his hands on me. And I've seen and read lots of stuff where women said they feel conflicted because they still love the person. I feel like the moment it happened, it's like somebody turned on a valve on my heart, and all the love that I felt seeped out of me. However, the thing to tell an abusive man is, in the moment of abuse is not how you don't love him anymore. So we went to see a therapist. I left. I went to work. I snuck out because he was drunk. I snuck out of the house the next day to go to work. He left my favorite flowers, which happened to be lilies. If you have seen It Begins With Us or read the book or Ends With Us, her name is Lily, and she's a florist. My favorite flower is lily, and he left a bouquet of lilies on my car seat. He's just a really, really creepy guy. So that afternoon, before going home, instead of going home, we went to a therapist. And the therapist said, in no uncertain terms, this is a very, very dangerous situation. I don't recommend that you be living together. And I guess I did feel very conflicted when the doctor said that we shouldn't have been living together. And I should have heeded the doctor's warning. He said, okay, if you cannot, because I didn't have anywhere to go, he should have gone to his mother's. That's what should have happened, but probably would have just made it more dangerous. So the doctor said, when you see signs of escalation, you need to get away and give him time to cool off, which is what they did in the book. It was very spooky. Get away from him, give him time to cool off. So one day he was pretty late coming home from work, and I was feeling pretty aggravated about it. and I was kind of like out in the parking, like out in our driveway waiting for him or something. And when he came home, I could see in his face that he wasn't there. His body was there, but he had blacked out. And I'm like, okay, so I needed to go, broke phones a lot back then. I needed to go to Sprint to get a printout of my phone numbers. So I just got in my car. Now, mind you, the house had just been recently stocked with groceries. It's decorated beautifully. It's just a really beautiful little house. Nice big screen TV, just really nice. So I leave to go get a printout of my phone numbers, and he thought I was leaving him. And he destroyed anything he couldn't take, he destroyed. My adopted mother wrote a cookbook for me by hand of recipes of the family and the stories where they came from. He destroyed that. Obituaries of friends that I'll never be able to get back. He just knocked holes in the walls, pulled the ceiling fans out of the ceiling. The destruction was just unimaginable. I called the police when I got home, and the police were like, there's nothing we could do about this. This is his property because you're married. They wouldn't even take a report. Police don't take this seriously. Now, I have an undergraduate in criminal justice. Before we get going deeper in here, I just want to let you know that because the police don't see domestic violence 9 times out of 10, but if both people allege violence, both people should go to jail. So I drove to his mother's house. I should have just left it alone. The car he's driving is mine, the clothes he's wearing. He just destroyed everything. I wanted my car back. So I drove up. The keys were in the ignition. I went and pulled the keys out of the ignition of the car that I bought him. And I went to drive off, and it became like a MacGyver chase. He was sitting out on the patio. He jumped over the railing, chased me down the driveway. He's holding on to my car while I'm driving, reaches in, unlocks the door while I'm driving. He's like grabbing my head, slamming it against, yeah. So, yeah. Very violent chase. We circle back around to in front of his mother's house because all of this, of course, is taking place there in an apartment building. It was crazy. No one was outside. And so eventually he stops and he's standing in the middle of the road. I can't get past him. So I'm just inching up. I'm not going to hit him. I'm just inching up because I will push past him. I wasn't going to run him over, but I would push past him. So he ran up on the hood of my car and looked at me very deliberately with a very maniacal look. He did like this with his shoulder and broke my windshield of my car that I was driving. So I drove to Burger King, which was right up the street. He went back to his mother's house, I guess. I called my best friend, so this is second time. My best friend said, if you don't call the police, I'm going to. I went in and called the police from McDonald's phone because, like I said, he broke my phone. Apparently, he called the police too and alleged that I tried to run him over with the car. When the police got to me, they had talked to him first and ended up arresting me and charging me with assault and battery, high and aggravated nature, CDV, while I was serving in the military. You can't carry a gun ever again in your life with a CDV. That's a felony as well, the high and aggravated nature. And they didn't take him, and he had just got out of prison for violence, and they didn't take him. So my attorney Now, mind you, I'm like National Guard, full-time student. I have next to nothing. I do have a friend who's an attorney. He said, I will take this for $1,000 if your husband will sign an affidavit saying that he lied to the police. And he did. However, his word to follow that affidavit, because he could change his mind at any time. And so, yes, there's this written document that said that of him admitting that he lied. However, he could at any time say that that's BS, and he's scared for his life of me. I don't know how many altercations after that, but in one altercation after that, he drinks because he's the typical, oh, poor me. He actually put Sevin-Dust, insect poison, inside a bottle of champagne and drank it. And my friend was like, just let him die. I said, here's why I can't. I have a pending felony against me, against him. So if I let him die, then I immediately become the number one suspect. I must have killed him. And leaving him was impossible because I was now in prison. I was hostage. He was like, if you leave me, I'm going to say XYZ. And he did end up, when I did finally leave, he went to the Inspector General in the military 2 different times. Oh, he caused me so much stuff. He went to one of my exes, and they corroborated a stalking story about me. Anything he could to hurt me for leaving him, and anything he could do to keep me in that situation, whether I loved him anymore or not, and I didn't. The last time I took him back because I was heavily involved in the church. And do you know that the Bible doesn't justify divorce, even if the man is violent? Only justifies divorce for adultery and if the person says we're not married. So I couldn't find any justification for the divorce, so I went back. But I really I didn't want to go back. Actually invited him in because he came to my place. And we moved to a new house, and it only took one time. He starts accusing me of sleeping with the pastor at the church, and that was it. I was like, I need you to go. I went and changed my locks on my house, and that was it for me. But up to the time I officially left, I was a prisoner. And the police didn't care. So anyways, all of that to say, if you've not experienced a situation like this, then just keep your mouth shut. It's a delicate situation, and you don't know what this woman's going through. You don't know what this woman's going through. So it's hard for me to say sorry to these U.S. citizens because I live here in Mexico and I see what your tomfoolery is doing here, but still, to some degree, my compassion, my heart goes out to you guys, mostly to Mexicans. Love you guys. Thank you for having me as a guest here. I'm thankful to be here, and until next time, my name is Camina the Coach. I'm sending you love, light, peace, and joy, and until next time, I'm out. Peace.